Happy New Year, everybody. Today is going to be a bit of a chat about hopes and fears for 2026 in terms of the cycling industry. 2025 was pretty bonkers for Mapdec. We've done a lot of growth. That's sort of 2 years of really solid growing, and I'm really hoping that 2026 is just going to be a little bit less chaotic. So anyway, I've got 3 things when I sort of look back on the 2025 discussions and what I think is happening at the moment. And this is really a conversation starter over this weird gap between Christmas and New Year. Get stuck down in the comments. Let's share some thoughts and ideas and hopes and some dreams and see where it goes. There's 3 to get through. The very first one is going to be the battle, for want of a better word, between the influx of Eastern brands and the high prices of Western brands. I think that's going to be absolutely alive in 2026, and hopefully for all the right reasons, which I think it will be. The other thing is just this mess of batteries and cables, and my hope that we're going to have some sort of solution emerge from this chaos before it gets too out of control. And then thirdly is about AI media. Some really interesting stuff going on there, which has really made me think. And then I've got a couple of extra questions that have come out from our lithium grease thing. I'm just going to catch on at the end. So timestamps below. Let's get stuck in. So for me, this year, if you're following YouTube, you must have seen just the amount of attention that Eastern, Chinese, Taiwanese brands are getting. The factory direct brands, if you want. It only matters where it's made because they are not part of the EU and American Western sort of society where we have, legal repercussions that can be gone between countries. We don't have a way to easily take a legal process to a Chinese factory, and that's that's why it matters, if you like, for me. And that's probably the reason why there's so many concerns about it. Now, what's really interesting is that the Western brands have definitely been found sort of sleeping, if you like, and we definitely need to give our traditional Western brands a bit of a kick in. If they're going to be charging the high prices that they're asking, we need to be holding them to account for quality and also gaslighting on warranty. That should be the one thing of a Western brand has to offer, is all of the regulations that go with it, your Consumer Rights Act, the Right to Repair Act, all those sort of things. We should have documentation, we should have inventory of spare parts, we should have absolutely watertight warranties which are famously upheld and honoured. We should have absolutely fantastic quality that really represents the heritage of these brands like Villiers, Pinarello, Look, etc. We should be getting the best of the best for the prices that they're charging. And I think that's definitely the Western brands have got to take some responsibility for that fall off in trust. At the same time, the Chinese brands clearly have lent into that and have been delivering some very good product. The problem is that they lack the accountability, and that's one of the things that's really holding them back. And to be fair, they are trying on this. Now, what I mean by accountability is when you buy direct from the factory, via AliExpress or anything, you don't get any of your consumer rights at all. You're just on your own. You maybe get some recourse on your credit card or PayPal if you're lucky, but that's pretty much it. And that's important to me because these are laws that we as citizens have fought our governments to give us, and it seems wrong that we're just sort of willing to just give it up so easily because prices have been inflated. I still think there should be an argument there because they are important. They look after our money, and at the same time, they also look after our safety. All those things like ISO regulations and UKCA and the EU safety mark, all those sort of things were put in to, look after us as citizens. So I know that the prices are really appealing, but I still think those are really, really important. Now, this all came to light with the case of Dr. Gordon and the case against Planet X. Remember, he had a situation where I think his steerer tube broke, absolutely life-changing injuries. He's now in a wheelchair, and he went to sue Planet X, who had at the time gone bankrupt. And they successfully settled out of court for, I think, 4 million, something like that. A hell of a lot of money. But at the same time, your life has been completely and utterly changed. All those medical bills, all that. It's just That is the worst case scenario. But if that was a Chinese company, there'd be nothing, just absolutely nothing. There's no way that you, as a citizen of a Western country, can take a case to a Chinese factory. There's just no way. So one of the things that's really happening at the moment is, we entrepreneurs, if you like, in Western places like this, are trying to find ways that we can bring, Chinese products to market in a safer way. Panda Podium have sort of tried, but his offices are still out in China. There's still no way that he could actually carry the accountability. In fact, some of his shipping policies are a bit weird as well, but it's still a Western figurehead, but there's still lacking the accountability to all those acts that I talked about earlier that's lacking. But there is changing. You might have seen, I think it's Trailwind Cycles. I think they're based down south somewhere. It might be South Wales. Anyway, they are now apparently the UK importers for Windspace. It's an interesting move when you think about it, because it's a hell of an interesting business model. It's one that I have to admit that I've sort of dipped my toe in with, like light bicycle and bits and pieces over the end, and it's just been too impossible. And one of the things that they're doing just makes me go, ooh, that's risky, but fair play for giving it a go, is one, product liability insurance for importing Chinese goods is an absolute nightmare. One, it's really expensive, and two, there are so many conditions attached to it. Things like when you import a batch, you might have to go and get every individual product batch tested to ISO standards. So you've got to go and find ISO testing house and go and get it tested, or you've got to record it. You can't take whatever the factory says at face value. You have to do some independent testing in a European country as part of that. So it makes it very expensive, especially to do sort of small batch imports. So you're going to have to import a fair amount at a time. Now, what they're doing at the moment is they are taking pre-orders for things, holding very little amount of stock, taking cycle to work scheme vouchers, and then you're going to have to wait. Now, we've seen this play out a little bit with light bicycle. In fact, we've got a £2,000 rim order just floating around in the ether, which has been returned because it never got through customs. And now an 8-week delay has turned into a 16-week delay. And we're facing that problem where we might be letting customers down and having to give refunds. Scale that up onto multiple frames, and that gets pretty scary, especially when you consider where you might fall on your VAT billing cycle compared to income and outgoings. Nothing leaves China on credit. It's not like you can buy from a normal Western supplier with a line of credit while it all arrives and the payment transactions all work out. You have to have the money in to pay the Chinese factory and then hope it gets here and makes its way through customs. Makes cycle to work schemes you can't really refund cycle to work schemes. It's been very problematic and, well, bureaucratic, should I say. So yeah, there's a fair bit of risk that they are carrying there, but fair play to them, because I think if they can unlock it, I think they should be quite successful, because those frames look genuinely good at fantastic prices. And if they can back it up with all the product liability, customer service support, holding all the spares, and they can get themselves sorted with the whole lead time customs thing, then great. I think the reason we haven't seen this play out is because they're by the big distributors, because it's hard. It's really hard and quite risky. I think to do it successfully, you need to do it at a scale where you can import container loads of something at a time. And that's where the second problem becomes in, because in the EU and in the UK now, we have the sort of the Trade Remedies Act, where something called anti-dumping. So if you import more than 300 of something in a month, so i.e. 300 frames, 300 forks, 300 handlebars, whatever, your 301st, if you like, on average over the year is susceptible to anti-dumping duty, which is 48.5% on top of the 4.7% import on, and then you pay VAT on all of that. So scaling becomes quite hard, because then you have to think about setting up other companies to try and mitigate it. But then, of course, trying to circumvent anti-dumping is illegal. So if you try and circumvent it, you can actually face legal prosecution, not just HMRC stuff. So anyway, you get the issue. It is not as simple as just importing stuff. There's still There's still problems to solve, but I think headway is being made. The ultimate thing is we want Western brands to get their prices under control, and we want Eastern brands to get their accountability raised up to at least something that gets close to normal Western sort of standards, if you like. And somewhere in between is the ideal situation for consumers. And that's what we're trying to get to eventually, is a really good mix of good quality product at fair prices. So maybe 2026 is when we start making some headway into that. Okay. That got a bit heavy. I'm really sorry. Okay, next up is batteries. We're talking about all these EU regulations. We had this massive push in cell phones and devices to try and get like one universal charger. I mean, USB-C just turned into a complete nightmare, didn't it, with all the various Thunderbolt and different speeds and different charging wattages. But it's like, at the moment, electronics are becoming a big thing in cycling, and it's going to continue because it looks like we're going to be getting the new Shimano Dura Ace, Ultegra, etc. next year. All the rumours are flying around, but also we're seeing that our prices are coming down and down and down, obviously trying to clear inventory for something. Brilliant, you know, there's some good bargains out there at the moment. But, you know, we've got a glimpse, didn't we, this year of the new Shimano battery, you know, this little thing here, and their little charging cradle, this one here. And it's definitely, I mean, I can't imagine that Shimano are going to launch a road group set with a different battery. That would seem like an incredibly silly thing to do. So it looks like this is going to be our Shimano battery when they go wireless. If they go wireless, who knows? But here we are at the moment. We're in this sort of sticky situation. We've got like this Shimano like charging cradle thing here. This is probably going to be for the rear mech, because there's still SRAM have got the pattern on having a single battery for front and rear, so it doesn't look like Shimano are going to be able to do the same battery. I mean, like Campagnolo had the same issue, didn't they? Had to have a different battery front and back because, you know, SRAM held the pattern on it. And here we are, we've got, you know, so many different charging things. We've got the SRAM cradle, which still uses micro USB. You know, at least the SRAM batteries are, you know, they're pretty established now, like this new thing. But like, here's the thing, like my camera batteries have a little USB-C charging port on them. And I think this is brilliant because I can charge it, you know, in a cradle if I wanted to, but I can also charge it with a USB-C when I'm traveling. It's brilliant. And I can't understand why they can't put that into more of our devices, why there can't be a little USB-C port on the back of here or here, you know. I guess I'm okay with the Campagnolo one with using this magnetic charging, but pretty much only because they're bonkers level of waterproofing, like IP69K level of waterproofing on this. I really hope that they carry that through to their much rumoured chorus and sort of lower tiers, which are meant to be coming this year. And then we have things like your cycling computers and radar lights. In fact, radar lights have been absolutely brilliant. I never really thought I'd get into these, but these are great. But look, like just this stupid little flap with a USB thing, and it's right where all the muck goes. And already, like, it's hard to close the door and make it watertight because of all the dirt and the muck that's got in there already. So, you know, I think we really need to take a good hard look at all of the electronics now on our bike, which are legitimately good bits of tech, don't get me wrong, but just we need a better way of managing this, so of going out for a ride just doesn't turn into a, oh my god, like charged battery anxiety. Like, nobody wants that. Cannondale made some headway with their new Synapse. That looks really cool. There's like one sort of universal battery that cables feed up to various bits. That's a glimpse at the future. Definitely like all the frame storage and bits and pieces on it, because I think frame storage is going to be a big thing. Mostly because all these aero bikes, you might have seen the video that I did about the Villia Falante. It's like, great, you've got this lovely aero bike, but then I've gone and put, you know, a massive, you know, Wahoo computer on it, and the handlebar was never designed to have a computer on it. It just looks like a complete random spare part blonked on the front. And then, you know, I want to put a rear light because, you know, riding around on like Spanish roads and stuff, these are brilliant. And I've got a little saddle bag with my, you know, my gas canister or etc. in it. And so all of a sudden you're making your aero bike not aero by adding all of these accessories. And so I think some storage would actually be really, really useful for the majority of riders. We're not all, you know, racing with a team car following us. We need to carry some bits and pieces with us. So yeah, hopefully that's going to become more of a feature, not just on endurance bikes, but on, you know, race bikes that we want to ride, but not necessarily in a big peloton with a team car. So yeah, that's my hope and dream, that somehow this can be tied up. Maybe there's going to be some third-party battery manufacturers out there that can add some different charging functionality or some docks. You know, in camera world, you know, there are so many third-party companies making batteries and different charging docks that are brilliant, like way better than the originals. Okay, whew, this has got quite heavy, isn't it? I hope you're still with us. The next thing I want to talk about is AI media. Now, you've probably noticed your social media feed's just full of AI generated images and text and all sorts, and about to get worse because earlier this year, a company called veloracycling.com launched. And this is the first time I've seen this in cycling. We've seen AI generated news sites in Formula One and music, other things that I follow, and they, oh my God, they're terrible. They really are bad. You can tell it's got clickbaity titles that are probably wrong compared to what's actually in the text. The text is obviously written by AI. Now, don't get me wrong, I like AI. You might have seen on the last video, I used AI to help me generate some slides because I don't have the graphic design skills to make those slides. So with a bit of help with, you know, Google Gemini, I was able to make some slides that hopefully gave some visual representation of what I was talking about. There's a good opportunity, but AI still depends on original content, because if you have one AI, you know, news site that is scraping the internet. I mean, their advert is all about, it goes out looking for the current news trends and collecting all the information and rewrites it, and then it launches it, and it'll also make its own social media posts and publish it. It was billed as this big exciting thing, and then any product reviews, so it might do a product review on like track pumps. I think I saw one that was like 20,000 words long. It was epic. And it had pulled all that content from all the other work that other journalists had done, and then scraped like Amazon for the affiliate links. And that's going to be how they make their money, through affiliate marketing and stuff like that. So affiliate marketing, if that's a term that's new to you, is when a creator, an influencer, a media outlet, whatever you want to call us, we get given either a link, you know, a URL, or we get given a discount code. And with that discount code, the brand can track if one of you buys something that we recommend. And if you do, then we get a kickback. So this isn't that popular in Western brands. You don't see an awful lot, like you don't see Princeton and Zip, for instance, offering affiliate codes. It's something that Chinese brands especially are really pushing. When they get offered to us, it's normally something like 10 to 15% commission, which is super generous. Like, if you think about the earning potential of that, and I've been so tempted a lot of the times, is if, let's say a video that I put out, 10,000 views or something, let's just say just a tenth of 1%, you know, actually brought a set of wheels, it's actually still a relatively good payday. If you're a big channel, actually a really good channel, if you do it quite a lot, you can actually earn, you know, a good little chunk of change from doing affiliate link marketing in your YouTube videos and on your websites and stuff. It's not something I ever wanted to get into, really. It always felt really uncomfortable to do, because I'll get into that in a second, actually. It's just, anyway, that is what affiliate marketing is. And so this is how this Velora is going to make its money. And it just seems, the problem is that once you've done one, the code has been created, you've unlocked Pandora's box. It's a bit like that snake that eats itself. So now AI is now reading other AI content and reading other AI content and reading other AI content. And the only real original content that's being fed is probably press releases from brands and, you know, racing teams and that sort of thing. So you're going to end up in a fairly low grade sort of media, if you like, which we've seen. Is like, if you go through Apple News and scroll through that, you'll see just some real slop in there, for want of a better word. And it's a real shame. I think it's it's come into cycling, it seemed to be the one thing that was sort of holding out in all the other things that I follow. Now, in my mind, this is going to go one of two directions. One, you're going to get lots of AI generated content, absolutely bombarding social media. Valora is the first, they won't be the last. There'll be another one, and then Bike Radar won't want to get stuck behind, so they'll launch their own AI service, and then Cycling Weekly won't want to be left behind, so they'll launch their own one. All of a sudden, you've just got this big AI loop just bombarding social media, and it'll make social media just clogged. It'll make it really hard to share your photos and talk to your mates on, and there'll be a need for something else, I think. But then I think there's going to be a real thirst, a real desire for genuine opinion, general thoughts of a human who's we operate on open loops. We depend on other thoughts, ideas, opinions coming into our brains to then form different opinions. It's kind of how we work. You don't have to agree with them. You just need a different type of input. And the problem with that is that now original creators, influencers, whatever you want to call them, will now need to put their content behind some sort of verification or some sort of paywall to ensure that their content isn't just scraped and copied and regurgitated by AI. So we might end up with this like two-tier where there's like free low-grade media regurgitated from one another and genuine media, and which is expensive and difficult to access, and that would be a real shame. So anyway, that comes back to it's made me think, why are we on YouTube? Why am I here talking to this camera and talking to you? What's the incentive for me? We don't do affiliate marketing. Well, the big thing for me is it's like an extension of our community. You notice that behind me, we've got this gym, we're opening up a cafe next door, we've got this big car park, we work with our local cycling clubs, because the bike shop is one of those few places on the high street which has a community following. It's what I love about doing this, is that community side. And for YouTube, it was a way of extending that community a bit broader, a bit further outside of Kendal. And what has happened is that you guys get to watch our content. You might not like it, you might not agree with it, but what you see is what you get if you decide that what you see on this video is something that you want to engage with, that you want to experience the Mapdec service. You know what you're going to get. We will walk in the door one day and you'll see me, and you'll see Tom, and you'll see Hannah, and you'll see Madeline, who you've seen on the channel. If you ring us up, one of us will probably answer the phone. And that connection it's really powerful, actually. When you walk in the door, you know what to expect. You know the services that we offer, you know the services that we don't offer. And that transaction then goes really smoothly, and it's really cool. As if anyone traveling up here from London, and loads of you do, it blows my mind, is just as welcome and feels like they know us as much as someone we go riding with at the local cycling club. And that to me has been some of the most powerful marketing that a local bike shop could ever hope for. It's been brilliant. The other reason I'm on YouTube is because as a result of that, we've been granted some amazing opportunities that you'd never have if you were a bike shop. We've been to see the Time factory in Slovakia, we've been to see the Villiers factory, we've been to see Officine Matteo. We get opportunities of reviewing the latest tech, before a lot of other bike shops have that, which means that if you're interested in buying some of this, we're a bike shop that we have proved that we have already learned how to use it, we know how to install it, and we've got the skills ready to go. That's a massive plus for us. And then thirdly, I enjoy it. I genuinely enjoy working the camera. I know I'm not that good at it, and like learning how to edit and that sort of thing. And it's an extension of what I used to do in training. And we used to run maintenance courses here. I used to work in outdoor education, etc. And I love just teaching. And this seemed to be an extension of those skills. You get to a certain age, and the next thing you want to do is try and pass that knowledge on. And I've enjoyed having apprentices, and I've enjoyed running city and guilds courses, and YouTube is now like the next extension, and I do genuinely enjoy it. So I'm hoping that there is still going to be a thirst out there and a desire for genuine media where we're not someone in a garage that you can't speak to. We're not someone in a nice fancy studio in London. We're a bike shop. You can call our number. You can come to our location. And I think that is going to be, it's going to be really powerful. I hope it is, because our kind of business depends on it. Okay, there we go. There's my 3 hopes and dreams. Thanks for still listening. Let's talk grease very quickly. Now, this time, questions are all about lithium grease, and lithium grease is not lithium grease. Well, it is, but there's lots of different types of lithium grease, and I was fairly rude about some of it. I haven't got every single example here, but this is just to give you an idea. So when you think about grease, you've got something that's got to be the sponge, the stuff that makes it thick and gloopy, and then you've got to have sort of the actual active lubricant, if you like. So the whole idea of the lithium is to keep the lubricant in place, so it's not just oil and just drips out. So the main thickeners, if you like, are lithium and calcium. And as I explained, we use the lithium complex, Mobil XHP222. We use this because this is what is inside the majority of the bearings that we sell, so it makes sense to have a thing that is just directly compatible. There's no chemical incompatibility there. It's dead easy. You can also get it in these big tubes, which for us, is great, because we go through a fair bit of grease. Now, this is a lithium complex on a mineral oil, and that's the bits that's important. This is bearing juice from Juice Lubes. This is also a lithium grease, but this is with a synthetic oil. Then there is a little tub here, which I don't have because it's something that I really don't ever want to use, and it's stuff that I really talk people out of getting. It's normally white, but that's not the only thing, and it's a lithium soap with a low grade petroleum oil-based lubricant in there, and you'll know you've got it because it will separate into like a brown liquid, and it's that brown liquid that is the problem. There are actually some good greases out there that are lithium and are white. It's the zinc oxide that makes it white, but not all of them are, and that's why it's too easy to say just try and avoid the white lithium greases, because you've got to really drill down into the chemistry to see whether you're getting one which has got that low grade petroleum oil in it, which separates and ultimately destroys plastics. Like, this is a plastic bottom bracket. I've put up a YouTube short a little while ago of the situation with this, but I reckon there's not a mechanic out there who hasn't wrestled with one of these that's been covered in that white grease, and it's all swollen and become brittle, and it's come out in pieces, because that sort of stuff breaks down the plastics, and it's not because of the lithium, it's because of what the lithium is soaked in, essentially. So for my mind, it's very easy on a YouTube channel to say, avoid white lithium grease. There are some good ones out there. I think that probably Finish Line have updated theirs. Their old one was terrible. Their new one, their premium grease, is completely different. That's got a synthetic base, I think. Whereas the well-tight TF2 is definitely the low-grade stuff. You can tell, you'll open it up and there'll just be like a little pool of brown liquid floating around. If that's the grease you've got, bin it straight away. Definitely not what you're after. In fact, I got the epitome of white lithium grease. Now, I got this in when we were teaching courses as the absolute worst thing that you could do, because this is that white lithium zinc oxide stuff dissolved in a solvent, and you can spray some onto a card. You can see how it separates. So you've got the white section and then the sort of the solvent section that sort of comes out, and that's what happens with that sort of grease. And it's the solvent and the oils that destroy plastics. So something like this, a highly refined mineral oil, which we know is safe because it's inside all of the enduro bearings, so therefore it must be safe for their seals. It also works great with plastics. Or you've got something like that which is synthetic. Again, when you choose one, after that you just need to choose one that is at the level of viscosity. I mean, it's all going to be NLG2, but of how tacky you want it to be and what you want your bearing performance to be versus how waterproof you want it to be. Do you still want it there, once you've gone through a few puddles and washed it a few times? Okay, I think what I'm going to do, because there's been so much positive comeback from that video, is make a really comprehensive list. I think I can do it. I was reluctant to, because I wasn't sure whether I could do it in relation to the manufacturer's instructions. I've just spent the last few days just going, could I put together an absolute total cheat sheet? And I think I can. So if that's something you're interested in, I think what I might do is do a complete, like, this is what we use in a professional workshop when we buy big tubs of it, and we've got to count of every single, you know, eventuality that might walk through our door, compared to what you might want as a home consumer and what you can buy in relatively small packets that will last you a decade without going off, whereas the stuff that we buy, you know, we can buy stuff like this and get through it quite happily. If you're interested, please let me know. Get down in the comments, let's talk that out. I think I'm done. So over to you guys. Get down in the comments of all everything I've discussed. Please add to the narrative, add your experience, add your knowledge, add your thoughts. What do you hope the industry will deliver for you in 2026? Right, with all that said, Happy New Year everyone. Take it easy.